Okay, welcome to Bet the Edge. Jay Crouch here with Drew Dinsick. We're in New Orleans, Louisiana, on Radio Row, day 1 of 5. Going to be a big week in the Big Easy leading up to Super Bowl 59 between the Eagles and the Chiefs. And we're joined, first guest, the great Nick Kostos of You Better You Bet on the NBC Sports Now channel on the Peacock.
Yeah, on the Peacock.
And you're shaven. You're going to walk us through the process there?
I actually wanted to talk about, I really liked, and I'm going to use it, big week in the Big Easy was really good. I might say it every day this week. But great to be on with you guys, Yeah,
okay, well, let's get straight into it because I know you're short on time. You're a Chiefs man, Chiefs backer. You've been riding the Chiefs. You've been very loud on social media.
I have.
Backing the Chiefs.
Not as loud as you are about awards, but we're getting there. We're ramping up the volume.
Yes. You've been a big proponent of the notion of Chiefs derangement syndrome.
CDS.
Yeah, CDS, which I enjoy. And now your Chiefs are 1.5-point favorites, obviously against the Eagles. What's your confidence level like?
You know, I was telling Drew before we came on, if you had asked me 7 days ago, 10 out of 10. And as the days go on, I'm a little worried that the Eagles don't just win, but like stuff the Chiefs in a locker. Like I said, I literally said to Drew a couple minutes ago, I mean this sincerely, I like the Chiefs in the game. More of a chance which team blows out the other. I think it has to be Eagles blow out the Chiefs than Chiefs blow out the Eagles. And it's like Super Bowl 55 with the Bucs and the Chiefs. So I'm getting more concerned as the days go on, but look, when the game kicks off, I've got Patrick Mahomes just to win the game, so let's call it at this exact moment in time like an 8.3 out of 10, as opposed to 10, which it was last week.
Wow. Well, Nick, I mean, Jay's been enjoying your Chiefs derangement syndrome content. I've been enduring it, as I do have Chiefs derangement syndrome. I'm going back to the well here against Patrick Mahomes and company.
Good luck.
I think I got the better team. But
you do.
That said, do you think there is a way into this that gets you a better payout than just the coin flip of the Chiefs win, right? Like, is there an MVP market that you think we can prey on, or are you just going to watch live and add Pat Mahomes 3-1 when he's down?
I will say, betting Super Bowl MVP live is like a transcendent experience.
Yes.
Like all the Jawan Jennings, like rest in peace to all of that money from last year. I do think if it's not going to be Mahomes this year, I don't think it's going to be Kelsey. I think he just sucks up so much of the equity on offense. I would actually say this would be their 4th, obviously. Mahomes has won the first 3. Maybe putting a capstone on this era of Kansas City Chiefs football. Maybe reward someone from the defense. And I think if they do, it would be Chris Jones. Who?
66-1.
Chris Jones.
Yeah,
Chris Jones. 66-1, where I think it might have been you, Drew, that said this, or maybe it was one of you guys last week on the show. Dexter Lawrence had a huge game against the Eagles this past season. Up the interior, rushing the passer. We know that Juergens and Dickerson are both dealing with injuries, where I think it could be Chris Jones would be the guy that I would look at outside of Patrick Mahomes. But look, like, candidly, I had the Chiefs in August. I've been adding to the position. I've got them in the game. I'll just feed up watching the Chiefs win and have a couple MVP positions as well.
Okay. I like that angle personally, mostly because the interior of the offensive line for the Eagles got smoked by the Rams consistently. Jalen Hurts is dealing with the knee injury. We know his mobility is a little bit under question, and if the Chiefs put this away on defense, Jones being the guy that makes the deciding play feels real to me.
Yep. We can attribute the Dexter Lawrence comment to me. I'll take the credit there.
Dude, I do so much comments. Like, I think it was one of you guys. I don't know, man.
Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit of NBA before we let you go. But first of all, every game means a little bit more. It's the big dance approaches, so don't miss 17th ranked Wisconsin take on Iowa this Saturday. Tip-off is set for 1 p.m. Eastern, only on NBC and Peacock. Okay. A lot of trades, a lot going on in the association. Doncic, AD. I haven't heard your take on this, Nick. What's your overarching opinion here?
I think, is Nico Harrison the worst GM of all time?
Ooh, no way.
Who's worse?
Who's the guy from the Timberwolves back in the day who drafted Rubio over Steph
Kahn?
David Kahn.
David Kahn. Yeah, that's pretty bad. No, I mean,
King.
Is he? This guy, he just traded Luka's 25, and I understand the conditioning stuff. I don't care. He's 25. 5-time first-team All-Pro, just took the Mavericks to the finals. Yeah. And I don't, nothing about it makes sense. There has to be something going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. I guess you could, there's a galaxy brain take. Oh, defense, the Mavericks are going to be better. Great. Someone else can bet them to win the title this year.
No, they can't win the title.
Of course they can't. Yeah. I will say, the Lakers are a little interesting to me. Not at this exact moment in time, but deadline coming up in a couple days. There's no way they're done. There's no way they're done. Now, some people will say, LeBron and and Luka are redundant. They can't play next to each other. The way that I would look at it is now LeBron can play a little bit more off the ball. Let Luka handle the ball. They're both unbelievable. We just watched on Saturday night. I hated it as a Knicks fan. LeBron absolutely torched my favorite team with no Anthony Davis in the lineup. Now here's Luka. So I don't know that I would take the Lakers to win the title this season, but let's have this conversation again on Friday after the deadline and see where we're at. I like it way more, not just moving forward for the Lakers, I like it this year more for the Lakers also.
Wow. Jay, what was your take?
I just baffled that they couldn't get at least, like, if you're going to do that deal, like, how do you not get Austin Reeves and the 2031 first?
No, but it's more like if you're trading Luka, how do you only talk to one team?
I know, it's just all ridiculous.
But this was like when Dave Gettleman, I'm a Giants fan, drafted Saquon Barkley second overall. They said, did you take, like, teams called you? He goes, I didn't pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Like, idiot.
Yeah. I think a lot
what
of
are you
people
talking about, dude? How do you not? It's Luka Doncic. How do you not shop him to other teams?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people think that there just has to be something else going on behind the scenes. No, I think the most likely explanation is that Nico Harrison just did an atrocious job.
Right, he's stupid.
In this one
This is
decision in
Occam's
his
razor,
life.
right?
Yeah.
It's like, what's the most obvious thing? Is it the conspiracy theory or this guy's dumb?
Was Pelinka not taking the trade if they asked for the 2031 first as well?
I mean,
it's
like,
just
dude, this is,
completely
and it's the
ridiculous.
type. I'm like not the first person to say this, but this is like in a fantasy football league. If you make this deal, like the owner gets kicked out of the league.
Yep. Yeah. Indeed.
A flurry of angry text messages.
Yep. Yeah, indeed. Okay, well, Nick, we'll let you go. Can you let people know what you're working on this week and where to find you?
Yeah, where am I looking at? Yeah, you bet. Weekdays, 3 to 7 p.m. Eastern. NBC Sports now, 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern. Whale will be on with us. That's true. He's awesome. He's going to be on with us today. Jay will be on with us on Thursday. Hopefully, I will be able to attribute your brilliance next time and not falsely give that credit to Whale. Odyssey. Oh, and we are now the newly rebranded BetMGM Network as well.
There you go. Brilliant.
Yeah, how about that?
That's very cool.
BetQL is a bad name. BetMGM Network, much better.
Okay,
Yes.
I love it. Well, thanks for your time, man. Look forward to catching up with you through the week.
Wishing everybody minimal sweats, winning bets, the absolute
Okay.
very best
Cheers.
of luck.
Thanks, Nick. Good one. Okay. The NBC Sports Now channel is live all week from New Orleans. Get insider access and analysis from Mike Florio, Matthew Berry, Chris Sims, Dan Patrick, and Dan Lebitard. Plus, don't miss interviews with NFL stars, coaches, and celebrities. The NBC Sports Now channel is available on Peacock, the Roku channel, Samsung TV, and more. Visit NBCSports.com/now for more details. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about Luka, AD,
Yeah, man.
the repercussions off of that, the Aaron Fox trade. Do you think there's actually, with all of this flurry of activity, and we're recording on Monday at 1:50 p.m. Central Time, so if Jimmy Butler or anyone has moved in the meantime, we won't know about it, but is there actually any bet to be made off of this?
Celtics title? Did you watch yesterday's game?
Against the Sixers?
They flipped
Against
the switch.
Gershon Yabusele?
It's February. There was a flip switch. A switch flipped. I like that there's kind of a little bit of renewed intensity when you're down in that type of game and everybody's playing that poorly, that they were able to just put the afterburners on. And honestly, like, it makes me feel like the West is Thunder's to lose pretty much. The Mavericks, I thought, really very much could have matched up well with the Thunder in a Western Conference Finals. We'll never see it now. I agree the ceiling is much, much lower for this Mavericks team with the swap, even though they're now a much better defensive team. Maybe they're a spoiler in a specific series if you can get a price against the likes of the Nuggets or a younger team like the Grizzlies or the Rockets, but winning 3 series now feels pretty unlikely. Lakers are 2 moves away from really having anywhere close to a playoff-ready defense. I'm excited to see Luka and LeBron play next to each other. I don't think there's redundancy there. You have 2 of the smartest players of my lifetime that are on the same team, same offense now. That's going to be really, really fun to watch how they, kind of construct end of game in particular. But I don't know. I was nervous about the way that the month of January went for the Celtics. I was losing faith in them in general. I'm now feeling like the tide is turning a bit. That the Cavs may have peaked a little bit too early. They were too good to make a move they probably needed to. And then on the other hand, I think the Celtics are going to come strong down the stretch here. So, if nothing else, I think the West is the Thunder, and that team is going to be vulnerable in the finals.
Yeah, I think with the defense is better for the Mavs thing, that's like saying that if the Nuggets traded like Jokic for Jaren Jackson, it's like, the defense is better, but your team is significantly worse.
Sure.
I mean, the other thing that's so confusing to me about all of that is the fact that Nico Harrison is talking about now how they have like a 3-4 year window. like Anthony Davis is going to be 33. Like Kyrie Irving is the same. Like there isn't. What does he understand? Aging curves. Like these guys are going to get worse. Kyrie is the only one on the team who can create his own shot.
Yep.
Like I think that this is just like if you started the season again, isn't this like a 44 win team? Like that type of range, and that's if like they stay healthy. Like I just don't think that there's any upside whatsoever, which just makes it incredibly baffling. I really don't understand how they only got the one pick. I just that makes no sense to me at all, unless there is like something criminal with Luka Doncic. Like that's the only, because it can't be just like conditioning and stuff, because there would be teams who would, the Brooklyn Nets would give up every single thing that they have for Luka Doncic.
Sure.
And to not explore more possibilities just seems like malpractice. You mentioned the Celtics, so what is your do you think that teams like the Knicks, the Bucks, the Cavs, do you think that they individually pose huge threats to the Celtics compared to the Thunder, who, particularly with the Mavs now, kind of withdrawing their hat? The Thunder look like they have the much cleaner path.
No question.
Yeah.
I will say, though, that the Bucks and the Knicks are not really threats to the Celtics, in my opinion. And actually, you know what's funny is all this flurry of trades and like the headline stuff with Luka kind of overshadowing that there's been a couple of like quietly important injuries to some of these teams. OG Anunoby injury it was notable to me.
Yep.
If he's not 100% for a playoff run, then the Knicks are a cross, in my opinion, or a toss. The Bucks look like they are just way, way, way too thin, and I don't think a move is really in the cards for them that's going to broadly change their fortune. So the Bucks are a toss for me. The Cavs, as I mentioned, like they've kind of overperformed, I think, to the point that they're just going to kind of keep this thing together and go to the playoffs with this group. And while I have no doubt that this is a very real team and a very, very functional team in the various ways they can, put together, particularly their defensive stylings, it still is the Celtics East to lose, in my opinion. And I think, the fact that you're starting to see them begin to turn the tide and begin to ramp up, the Celtics are going to be a bet on down in games for me for most of the month of February. And then I think they're probably going to be sort of, it'll be reminiscent of last year's kind of Nuggets run, where coming out of the All-Star game, it was just like there was a renewed purpose and a little bit more, we need to now get right for the playoffs. And, maybe I'm just seeing what I want to see with the Celtics because my numbers have always said to bet them. But I definitely have gotten a lot more recently out of the way that they're taking the end of game that I think is worth carrying forward this week and beyond.
I'll give you three choices for what is your biggest worry about the Celtics. So the three options are, the perennial one is Kristaps Porzingis' health throughout going through 4 playoff series. Yeah. 2, Drew Holiday potentially being a 34-year-old guard at this point, and just being on the other side and the repercussions of that. And then 3, that Jaylen Brown is just worse at basketball now and has already peaked, and that's kind of been reflected in his pretty poor season to date, even though he was somehow an all-star.
So I'm not worried at all about number 2 because that's just the facts.
Yep.
I've come to grips with that. Drew Holiday, if he has a role on this Celtics championship team, it's going to be pretty minor. Kristaps Porzingis injury issues, I'm less concerned than I was last year, just because they have taken very, very careful steps to get him reintegrated, and I think that he will. It looks like they have him on the right trajectory and right arc where he's going to be peaking at the right time. So I'm cautiously optimistic that Porzingis is going to be a bigger factor this year. And with Jaylen Brown, like that to me feels more effort based. It feels more when the lights were bright last year in the playoffs, he was such a impressive step forward that I'm comfortable believing that he will be able to do that again in those moments. And I think what you're seeing, a lot of the waning of his performance throughout this regular season has been just because the games haven't mattered as much. And honestly, the fact that he's put a little bit of effort in his back pocket, and considering he played on the Olympic team, he did play on the Olympic team, but considering he was so high usage for them, such a deep run in the playoffs last year, I think it's probably good that he's getting a little bit of rest and recuperation as well.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. I mean, with the Celtics, I think that ultimately, certainly in the East, they have the highest gear of anyone. Where think back to some of their best games from last playoff run. really all the home games against Dallas, games 1, 2, and 5, like no, Dallas just couldn't live with them, and it was really just the Celtics just missing shots in game 2 that prevented all 3 of those games from being blowouts. So I think that when they rev it up defensively, that they have a gear that probably the Cavs can't touch, but I think they're going to need Porzingis to really activate that gear this season to help offset the Drew Holiday just not quite being at the same level. Let's talk football before we get out of here, as we are in New Orleans for the Super Bowl. Let's talk about the total for the game that's bounced around. It got to 50 at one point. Now it's down, hovering more like 48.5, 49 flat. Do you think that has settled into a proper spot?
I think it has gone the wrong way, and I don't really understand why.
Okay.
I don't really see that there's a ton of offensive success for the Chiefs in this game on the ground, which is the only thing that would really kind of spell under to me in this game. If they could, because right now the math for the Chiefs in this one is pretty straightforward. They're going to have to sustain drives. They're going to have to, cross the street 1,000 times because of the way Vic Fangio, styles his defense. And, if they are able to, to do that with a running game, I will be surprised. And so I think that the Chiefs' drives are going to be a little bit more boom or bust. I think they're going to be a little bit more pass heavy. We'll get to some prop angles that we can try to prey on that in a bit here. But ultimately, the total, I think, has gone the wrong way. And I am kind of unclear as to why people are kind of holding up the Chiefs' defense as some sort of unit that is sort of the best that we have seen from them in years past, instead of the unit that gave up, 0.06 EPA per play on the ground to the Texans, right? Like, they got absolutely gashed 2 games in a row on the ground against rushing attacks that are good, not great. And I think ultimately this the Barkley-led attack, to me, I think has home run potential. And I just see more of a boom or bust game broadly, which makes me think that this is going to either, pretty clearly, clear 49.5, or it's going to at least threaten it. So I'm surprised that there's this much enthusiasm for the under.
Okay. What do you think the Eagles' passing game or offense will look like in general if they go down, say, 10-0, or more to the point, if it's like 21-10 in the third quarter? Do you think that offense is going to kind of fall apart for a team that has been playing with a lead seemingly all season, or is there just you've got faith in the passing game?
I mean, I think I have faith in the fact that they have weapons who create separation against CB2, CB3. For the Chiefs. The Chiefs have done a good job of taking on passing offenses where there was a good quarterback and a rather meh wide receiver room. This is the opposite. You have a fine quarterback and you have an elite wide receiver room, and I think the cornerbacks are going to be put a little bit to the test here. As I look at the cornerbacks and I look at Steve Spagnuolo's scheme, to me it spells like really excellent tackling, really aggressive. Like, they count on the secondary to really crash to stop the run. And in general, I would expect that if there are some opportunities for A.J. Brown in particular to get loose down the field, then he's going to be able to create separation. He's going to be able to win at point of catch. And ultimately, I think the passing offense in comeback mode for the Eagles doesn't really spook me at all. Much more concerned about what we talked about with Nick, which is that the interior of the offensive line for the Eagles does not do their job, and Jalen Hurts is either under immediate pressure from Chris Jones or someone similar, or the Chiefs in general just are able to force Jalen Hurts into his worst self on the run, and in which case the Eagles are drawing dead anyway. So,
Yep, indeed. All right, before we get out here, let's talk about the first touchdown score and anytime touchdown scorer markets, which are typically extremely difficult to beat with the amount of margin in these markets. Saquon, naturally the favorite to score the first touchdown, plus 400. Jalen Hurts, plus 650. Kareem Hunt, the favorite on the Chiefs side, at 9-1, ahead of Kelsey and Xavier Worthy. Do you think there is any angle into finding value in either of these markets?
I can tell you who I would toss.
Yeah.
And maybe we can whittle it down that way. I'm fine tossing Pacheco, surely. I would be blown away if Pacheco has much of a role in this game, considering how much life was in the legs of Kareem Hunt in this playoff stretch to this point. I'm fine also tossing Worthy, particularly as first touchdown scorer, because, again, way that Fangio is going to play defense over the top, he's really only likely to score a touchdown, in my opinion, on the ground in this game, as opposed to getting the big smash over the top on these guys. And I'm okay tossing pretty much all of the all the receivers for the Eagles, as when they get down into the red zone, they are so clearly leaning into the run. If the Eagles score a touchdown, in my opinion, it's going to be more of like a 30 to 40 yarder as opposed to something in the red zone. And so I think the scripted offense and really trying to get into rhythm, it's pretty obviously first touchdown is either going to be Barkley or Hurts, in my opinion. Kareem Hunt is right. Kelsey was such a kind of a, what was he, a decoy against the Bills? It didn't really feel like he was much of the game plan, and it didn't even really feel like because the Bills were taking him away. To me, that felt strategic, and they may have some wrinkles up their sleeve for Kelsey early in this game. So he's absolutely in the mix. But I think the top of the board is correct, and I would just pick one of those four at a relatively modest price. And then if you like the likes of a Worthy getting involved, I like him more like score a rushing touchdown, yes, no, than like first touchdown or anytime touchdown.
Yep. Anytime touchdown scorer. Saquon Barkley is minus 200.
Wow.
Shades of Cooper Kupp was the famous one from a few years ago where he had an incredibly short price against the Bengals. Jalen Hurts minus 105. Travis Kelce plus 125. Kareem Hunt plus 140. Do you think there's anything to the idea that with how successful the Chiefs were against the Allen tush push that the Eagles going to run a fake off of that, or is that just galaxy braining and it's just different offenses, different offensive line, different quarterback?
I mean, there's a chance, surely. Kellen Moore has done things like that in the past where it felt like he's gotten a little cute.
Yeah.
But I also would say that so much of what the success for the Chiefs defense against that particular scheme from the Bills felt like it was the predictable nature. And yeah, okay, the tush push is pretty predictable. We know exactly what they're going to do, but no one has really been able to prove that they can stop it. And I don't know that the Chiefs necessarily have the bodies that I would count on to do that, although, certainly I was certainly surprised that Allen didn't have more success on the ground.
It really felt like they butchered those plays, that he kept on going to his left, right? And that the Chiefs were extremely prepared for that, which is, I guess, one of those things around the margins that you can count on the Chiefs not screwing up and you can count on the Bills kind of screwing up, and that's why we're talking about Eagles-Chiefs instead of Eagles-Bills. All right, well, that's it for us today. We'll be here all week in New Orleans doing shows Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We're bringing back the awards watch along for Thursday night, which I'm not sure how I feel about, but we're going to do it. Redemption tour. If TJ Watt wins Defensive Player of the Year, I will hurl myself into the Mississippi River, and you will never hear from me again. But before that, we have Nate Tice on the show tomorrow, Tuesday, when we record Tuesday, and it'll come out later in the day. Yahoo's own Football 301, so looking forward to talking to Nate then. But until then, from Jay Croucher, Drew Dinsick, in wonderful New Orleans, Louisiana on Radio Row, we'll see you tomorrow.